Stone circles appear throughout the forest. Natural formations, creek beds, rock slides. Then there are the other circles, the ones made of river stones that don't exist within 40 miles. The ones arranged in perfect concentric rings. The ones that multiply. Rangers document them, photograph them, GPS them. But they're ordered not to investigate. Because the stone circles have a pattern. 3 circles on Monday, 5 circles on Wednesday, 8 on Friday, 13 by Sunday. The sequence stops when someone enters a circle. And when the sequence stops, that person appears in the next circle as stones. Stone circles are common in wilderness areas. Natural phenomena. Frost heave creates circular patterns. Water erosion arranges rocks in rings. Geological processes produce symmetrical formations that look deliberate, but aren't. Rangers catalog these formations, note their locations, verify they're natural. Except in Sector 7. In Sector 7, stone circles appear overnight, not natural formations weathered over centuries. New circles, fresh arrangements. Stones that weren't there the day before, positioned in patterns too precise to be random. And the stones themselves are wrong. River stones, smooth, water-worn, rounded by decades of current. But Sector 7 has no river, no stream, no water source within 40 miles that could produce stones like these. The circles appear in a sequence, not random locations, not scattered placements. A mathematical progression. 3 circles appear, then 5, then 8, then 13, then 21. Each number is the sum of the previous 2. The Fibonacci sequence, rendered in stone, growing exponentially, spreading through the forest in a pattern that follows a mathematical law older than geology. And rangers are ordered not to investigate. Not to approach the circles, not to enter them, not to disturb the stones. Just to document from a distance. Photograph, record GPS coordinates. Note the date and time. And wait, because every ranger who's entered a stone circle has become part of the next one. Literally. Their body converted to stone, smooth, rounded, water-worn despite never touching water. Arranged in the next circle's pattern. One more stone in the sequence. Tonight we follow 3 accounts, each describing encounters with the stone circles, each ending with transformation and incorporation, and each revealing that the circles aren't random formations. Their accounting system, a mathematical progression, a sequence that wants to be completed, and it uses human beings as the final stones. The first account comes from Ranger David Reese, a 14-year veteran who worked wilderness survey and believed every natural formation could be explained through geology. Reese was methodical, scientific, the kind of ranger who documented everything, trusted data over intuition, and never accepted unexplained as an answer. On April 9, 2016, Reese was conducting a routine trail survey in Sector 7 when he discovered the first circle. 12 stones, river stones, perfectly smooth, arranged in a circle 8 feet in diameter. Each stone approximately the same size, same shape, same water-worn smoothness. Positioned exactly 18 inches apart. Perfect spacing, perfect symmetry, perfect circle. Reese photographed it, took measurements, collected GPS coordinates. Then he noticed the stones themselves. River stones required flowing water to create that degree of smoothness. Years of tumbling in current, constant erosion, gradual rounding. But Sector 7 was high desert plateau, no rivers, no streams. The nearest water source was the Bear Creek drainage, 43 miles southeast. And Bear Creek's stones were granite, gray, angular. These stones were basalt, black, smooth, from a river system that didn't exist anywhere near Sector 7. Reese's chest tightened, not from exertion in the mild spring morning, but from staring at stones that shouldn't exist, arranged in a pattern too perfect to be natural, in a location with no water to create them. He radioed dispatch. Sector 7 survey team to base, reporting anomalous geological formation, requesting supervisor review. His supervisor, Patricia Vance, arrived 2 hours later. She looked at the circle, looked at Reese. Her expression shifted from professional interest to something darker. Recognition. "How many stones?" she asked quietly. 12. "And they're river stones? Water-worn?" "Affirmative, but there's no water source that could." "I need you to step back from the circle, now." Reese felt his hands start to shake, not from cold, but from the way Vance's voice carried absolute authority without explanation. "What is this?" "It's the first circle. There will be more. Don't approach them, don't enter them, just document from a distance and report locations." "What do you mean, the first circle?" Vance pulled up a tablet, showed him a map of Sector 7. Marked on the map, 19 locations, each labeled with a date and a number. Circle 1, 12 stones, April 9th, 2016. Circle 2, 12 stones, April 11th, 2016. Circle 3, 12 stones, April 11th, 2016. "They appear in sequence," Vance said. Following the Fibonacci progression. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, but each circle always has 12 stones. The number that increases is how many circles appear. That's impossible. Geological formations don't follow mathematical. These aren't geological formations. We don't know what they are. But they appear in sequence. They multiply according to Fibonacci, and anyone who enters a circle becomes part of the next sequence. Reese felt his vision tunnel, peripheral gray creeping in. "What do you mean, becomes part of?" "Exactly what it sounds like. Their body converts to stone, smooth, water-worn, identical to the other stones. And it appears in the next circle's pattern. We've lost 4 rangers this way. We're not losing another." "You're saying these circles transform people into stones?" "I'm saying we document from a distance. We photograph. We record. We do not approach. We do not investigate. We do not enter. Those are the standing orders for Sector 7. Do you understand?" Reese understood. But understanding didn't stop him from wanting answers. 2 days later, April 11th, Reese returned to the original circle during his survey shift. The circle was unchanged. 12 stones. Perfect spacing. Perfect symmetry. But 30 yards north, he found 2 more circles. Circle 2, 12 stones, 8-foot diameter, perfect arrangement. Circle 3, 12 stones, identical to the others. The sequence had progressed from 1 to 2 to 3 circles, just as Vance had predicted. Reese photographed them, recorded coordinates, maintained the required 50-foot distance. But as he circled the third formation, taking measurements, he noticed something that made his throat close. One of the stones in Circle 3 was different. Not in size, not in color, not in smoothness, but in shape. While the other 11 stones were rounded, uniform, featureless, this stone had a texture, a pattern on its surface. Reese zoomed his camera, enhanced the image. The pattern was fingerprints, human fingerprints, preserved in stone, as if someone's hand had been converted to basalt while maintaining the microscopic ridge detail of their skin. Reese felt ice flood his veins. His hands went numb. His breath came in short gasps. That stone had been a person. Someone who'd entered a circle, whose body had transformed, whose flesh had become stone, whose fingerprints remained as the only evidence they'd ever been human. He checked his field notes. cross-referenced with Vance's data. 4 rangers lost to the circles. Ranger Michael Torres, missing April 3, 2016, last seen investigating Circle 1. Ranger Sarah Chen, missing April 5, 2016, last seen near Circle 2. Ranger Jennifer Hayes, missing April 7, 2016, disappeared in Sector 7. Ranger James Whitlock, missing April 9, 2016, failed to return from survey. 4 rangers, 4 dates, 4 stones with fingerprints, if he looked closely enough. The circles weren't just appearing in sequence. They were consuming people, converting them, adding them to the pattern, using human beings as construction material. Reese backed away from Circle 3, maintained distance, followed protocol. But his mind was racing. If the circles followed Fibonacci, if the sequence was predictable, he could calculate when the next circles would appear. And how many? Circle 1, 1 circle, April 9th. Circles 2 to 3, 2 circles, April 11th. Circles 4, 6, 7, 3 circles, April 13th. Circles 8 to 13, 5 circles, April 15th. Circles 14 to 21, 8 circles, April 17th. The progression was accelerating, growing exponentially. And if each new circle needed 12 stones, and one of those stones was a converted human, the circles would need more people. Soon. Reese radioed dispatch. "This is Sector 7 survey. We need to evacuate the sector. The circle count is increasing. They'll need—" "Negative." Vance's voice cut him off. "Evacuation would draw attention. We maintain observation only. All personnel stay outside 50-foot perimeter. Standing orders remain in effect." "But if the sequence continues—" "It will continue whether we evacuate or not. The circles appear on schedule. They will appear in the predicted locations. All we can do is stay out of them and document the progression. And if someone enters one accidentally—" A pause. Long. Heavy. "Then the sequence incorporates them, and we document that too." The second account comes from Dr. Marcus Webb, a geologist who specialized in stone formation and refused to believe that rocks could be created from human tissue. On April 21, 2016, Webb obtained authorization to conduct a comprehensive geological analysis of the stone circles with university-grade testing equipment. He brought ground-penetrating radar, spectrographic analysis tools, carbon dating equipment, electron microscopy for surface analysis, seismic sensors to detect subsurface activity. His hypothesis: the circles were elaborate hoaxes, human-placed stones, arranged by someone with mathematical knowledge and access to riverstone supplies. Not supernatural, not transformative, just deliberate human construction designed to create mystery. He established his base camp 100 yards from Circle 14, one of the 8 circles that had appeared on April 17th. At 2:34 p.m. on April 21st, Webb began his analysis. Ground-penetrating radar showed no subsurface structures, no buried objects, no foundation beneath the circles. The stones sat on bare earth, no excavation, no preparation. They'd simply appeared. Webb moved to spectroscopic analysis, aimed his instruments at the stones from 50 feet away. Basalt composition, volcanic origin, consistent with river stones from the Columbia River drainage system, 380 miles northwest. But the stones showed no transportation damage, no chips, no scratches, no impact marks from being moved. They looked like they'd formed in place. Impossible. Basalt formed from cooling lava. These stones showed water erosion, centuries of river current. They couldn't have formed here, but they showed no evidence of transport. Webb's hand started shaking, not from excitement, but from data that contradicted itself. that proved two mutually exclusive things simultaneously. He activated his electron microscope, focused on the surface of the nearest stone. Magnification 1000x. The surface showed microscopic ridge patterns, consistent spacing, parallel lines. Not rock texture, skin texture. Fingerprint ridges, preserved in stone, as if the stone had once been flesh. Webb felt his chest tighten. His vision started to tunnel. He increased magnification. 2000x. The ridges showed cellular structure, keratinocytes, skin cells, individual cells visible in the stone's surface. Human cells. Converted to basalt, maintaining their microscopic architecture. This stone had been a person. Webb pulled back, checked another stone. Same result. Fingerprint ridges, cellular structure, human tissue converted to rock. He checked all 12 stones in Circle 14. 10 stones, smooth basalt, no biological markers. 2 stones, human fingerprints, cellular structure visible, people converted to rock. Webb sat back and tried to process what he was seeing. Human beings were being transformed into stones, their bodies converted, their tissue mineralized. Their cells replaced atom by atom with basalt. But the transformation preserved detail, fingerprints, cellular structure, the microscopic evidence of what they'd been. He had to know more, had to understand the mechanism. Webb stood, approached Circle 14. Closer than 50 feet, closer than protocol allowed. He needed samples, needed to touch the stones, needed physical evidence. At 40 feet, his seismic sensors spiked. Vibration detected. Magnitude, minimal. Source, directly beneath Circle 14. Something underground, moving, responding to his approach. Webb stopped, checked his instruments. The vibration intensified, not earthquake, not geological shift. Rhythmic, pulsing, like a heartbeat. The circle was alive. At 30 feet, the stones began to hum. Not audibly, subsonic, felt more than heard, a deep vibration that resonated in bone. Webb's hands went numb. His ears popped, his vision blurred. The circle was reacting to him, recognizing his approach, preparing. At 20 feet he saw it. The spaces between the stones, the 18-inch gaps in the perfect circle. They were shrinking. The stones were moving, slowly, millimeters per second, closing the gaps, tightening the circle, making room for one more stone. Webb tried to step back. His legs wouldn't respond. Not paralysis, not physical restraint. Compulsion. His body was walking forward, against his will, against his conscious decision to retreat. The circle was pulling him. At 15 feet, his skin began to itch. Deep, cellular, like his body was vibrating at the wrong frequency. At 10 feet, the itching became burning. His hands, his arms, his face, every exposed surface felt like it was being scrubbed with sandpaper from the inside. His skin was changing, hardening, mineralizing. He looked at his hands. Gray, rough, stone texture spreading from his fingertips up his palms. He was transforming, becoming stone, becoming the 12th stone in Circle 14. Webb screamed, tried to run. His legs carried him forward. Into the circle. The moment he crossed the perimeter, the moment his foot touched the space inside the ring, everything stopped. No sound. No sensation, no time. Just cold. Absolute cold, not temperature, absence. The cold of minerals, the cold of stone. His thoughts slowed, his heartbeat slowed, his breathing slowed, and stopped. His body froze, hardened, converted. Flesh became basalt, blood became minerals, bone became rock. But he remained conscious, aware. trapped inside stone, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to do anything but experience the absolute stillness of being a rock. Forever. Or until the circle released him, which it never would. Rangers found Webb's equipment at 6:47 p.m., his camp intact, his instrument still recording. But Webb was gone. They documented the scene, photographed everything, collected his data, and noted that Circle 14 now had 12 stones, when it had previously had 11. The 12th stone, the newest addition, had fingerprints on its surface, and an electron microscope analysis would later show those prints matched Dr. Marcus Webb's records on file. He hadn't disappeared. He was still in Circle 14 as the final stone, smooth, rounded, water-worn despite never touching water, forever part of the pattern, forever counting, forever 12. The third account is the most disturbing, because it involves a ranger who deliberately entered a circle, not accidentally, not through compulsion, but to test whether the transformation could be reversed. This is the story of Ranger Patricia Vance, the supervisor who'd been tracking the circles since they first appeared, who'd lost 4 rangers to the sequence, who believed she could break the pattern by understanding it completely. On April 23, 2016, the sequence had progressed to its 7th iteration. 34 circles now existed in Sector 7, all documented, all photographed, all avoided. The next progression, according to Fibonacci, would add 55 more circles, 89 total. And if each new circle needed 1 human stone, 55 people would disappear. Vance couldn't allow that. She'd spent 2 weeks analyzing the pattern, studying the progression, trying to find the mechanism. And she'd discovered something. The sequence always stopped when someone entered a circle. For exactly 12 hours. No new circles appeared, no progression continued. As if the sequence paused while it processed the new stone, while it incorporated the human into the pattern, while it converted flesh to basalt. And then, 12 hours later, the sequence resumed. But what if someone entered a circle and left before the transformation completed? What if you could interrupt the process, step out before becoming stone, break the sequence before it finished counting? Vance had to know. At 3:17 a.m. on April 23rd, she approached Circle 34. Alone. No witnesses, no protocol. Just her and the circle and the need to understand. She stood at the perimeter, looked at the 12 stones. Perfect arrangement, perfect spacing. And she stepped inside. The cold hit immediately. Not gradual, not creeping, instant. Her body temperature dropped, her skin hardened, her thoughts slowed. The transformation beginning. But Vance was prepared. She'd set a timer. 30 seconds inside the circle, then step out. Just long enough to feel the process, not long enough to complete it. At 15 seconds, her hands had turned gray, stone texture, rough, heavy. At 20 seconds, her arms were basalt, solid, immobile. At 25 seconds, her chest hardened, her breathing stopped, her heart stopped. But her consciousness remained. Aware, trapped, experiencing the conversion. At 30 seconds, her timer alarm sounded. She tried to move, tried to step back, tried to leave the circle. Her body didn't respond. Stone doesn't move. Stone doesn't have muscles, doesn't have nerves, doesn't have the capacity for voluntary motion. She was trapped. Not by the circle, not by external force. By her own transformed body, by the stone she'd become. She couldn't leave because stone can't walk. Vance's consciousness screamed, tried to force movement, tried to reverse the transformation. But stone doesn't revert to flesh. Stone is permanent. At 45 seconds, her head completed the transformation. Her eyes became smooth black basalt. Her mouth sealed shut. Her thoughts, still present, still aware, became trapped in a prison of rock. Forever conscious. Forever still. Forever counting as the 12th stone in Circle 34. Rangers found her body at 7:23 a.m. Still standing, still inside, Circle 34, perfectly positioned 18 inches from the nearest stone. Transformed, complete, irreversible. They documented it, photographed it, recorded the GPS coordinates, and noted that the sequence had stopped. No new circles appeared on April 23rd, or April 25th, or April 27th. The progression paused. The counting suspended. Because Vance had entered the circle, had become the final stone, had completed Circle 34's pattern, and the sequence, whatever it was, whatever intelligence governed it, was satisfied for 12 hours. Then the progression resumed. 55 new circles appeared on April 24th at 3:17 p.m., exactly 12 hours after Vance entered Circle 34. The sequence continued, the counting progressed, the pattern expanded. Using her transformation as fuel, using her stone body as proof that the mathematics worked. One person enters, one circle completes, one number in the sequence gets satisfied. Then the counting continues. Exponentially. Forever. Today, Sector 7 remains closed to the public. Official reason: geological instability, hazardous terrain, unsafe for hiking. Unofficial reason: the stone circles are still appearing. Following Fibonacci, growing exponentially, spreading through the forest in a mathematical progression that shows no sign of stopping. Rangers document from a distance, photograph, record GPS coordinates. But they're under strict orders not to investigate, not to approach within 50 feet, not to enter under any circumstances. Because the circles are still counting, still transforming anyone who enters, still adding human stones to the pattern. The current count, 987 circles. The next progression, 597 circles. After that, 584 circles. The sequence accelerating. The numbers growing, the pattern expanding until eventually, every stone in every circle will be a person. 12 people per circle. Thousands of circles. Tens of thousands of people, transformed, converted, incorporated into a mathematical pattern they didn't understand. Counting forever in stone. Some rangers believe the circles are a natural phenomenon, a geological process we don't understand, a mineral formation that mimics life, a coincidence of mathematics and stone. Some believe they're deliberate, a monument built by something ancient, a counting system for entities that think in Fibonacci, a record of something we can't comprehend. And some believe the most disturbing theory, that the circles are alive, that they're growing, reproducing, following an instinct encoded in mathematics, that they consume people not for malice but for completion, for symmetry, for the satisfaction of finishing the pattern. One person per circle, 12 stones per pattern, Fibonacci sequence dictating the count. Forever expanding, forever counting, forever transforming flesh to stone. And somewhere in Sector 7, inside Circle 34, Patricia Vance is still conscious, still aware, still thinking, still experiencing existence as a smooth, black basalt stone, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to die. Just counting, forever counting, part of the pattern now, part of the sequence. One stone in a circle that contains 12. One number in a progression that never ends. Forever 12. Forever Fibonacci. Forever stone. If you ever find a circle of smooth river stones in a place with no river, if the stones are spaced exactly 18 inches apart, If they form a perfect circle 8 feet in diameter, don't approach. Don't investigate. Don't enter. Because some patterns want to be completed, and they use whatever materials are available. And in the forest, the most available material is people. The circles are still counting, still appearing in sequence, still following Fibonacci. 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55. The next number is always the sum of the previous two. The mathematics are perfect. The pattern is absolute. And it will continue until every circle has 12 stones. Until every stone is a person. Until the sequence reaches a number so large we can't comprehend it. And we become part of the count. Forever. In stone.